Damien hurried to the field. School was on vacation, and he intended to make full use of the break to relax and enjoy himself. He was late, thanks to Nana. He had tripped over the golden retriever on his way down the stairs, and had to be bandaged up before he was allowed out the house. "Hey Damien, you are late," Devon hollered when he finally made it to where his friends were. "Sorry about that, I had a little accident," he replied, eager to get started on the list of activities they had prepared for the holidays. Little Missy scuffed his elbow and Mummy had to kiss your boo-boo," Stan taunted, pointing out to the embarrassing little pony bandage he had on. "Hey, don't do that, I bet Damien is more manly than you would ever be," Devon said, stepping up to help his friend. "Oh yes," Stan shot back, "then he would have no trouble spending the night at Casper's graveyard." Whoa, Damien was familiar with Casper's graveyard. Sneaking out and spending the night camped there had become a rite of passage of some sort. Young boys had taken it to be the fastest way to prove their masculinity. But there was no way in the world he was agreeing to that. He had heard tales about the spooky noises that could be heard there at night, and was not too keen on hearing them firsthand. "You know what, we are both spending the night there tonight," Devon replied confidently. "Wait, what?" Damien looked at Devon, who shot him a keep quiet and agree look. Stan looked shocked. He had not expected the both of them to take him up on his offer. "All right, this night, bet you wouldn't." "Bet we would," Damien replied, suddenly confident. Devon had to have some plan of sort. "Hey, are we seriously doing this?" he whispered to Devon when the other boys had run off. "No, all we have to do is record a bunch of weird sounds and claim we did. Grandpa said that's what everybody does." Feeling confident, Damien ran off to join the rest of the boys in a game of tag. Throughout the game, Stan kept on giving him the stink eye. It was almost as if he was pissed that Damien was beating him to the punch. "Hey Mom," Damien called out, bending down to pet Nana, much to her delight. "In here," she called out from the kitchen. "Mom, did you ever visit Casper's graveyard as a child?" he asked, reaching for an apple. "Oh no, but at the end, nobody ever did. All people did was record spooky sounds claiming they visited it. That's how the myth of sirens living there came to be. It's an unspoken truth though, people grow and leave all that shenanigans behind." Stan could not believe it. He had brought up Casper's graveyard in order to make Damien look like a scaredy cat, but Devon had decided to insert himself. He could not let them do that. He was going to go out of his way in order to scare them away, preventing them from actually spending the night there. Devon went to work. He searched through the attic at his house. He remembered throwing the board of spooky sounds his grandpa had given him in there. He just had to shift through a whole lot of junk to get to it. Finally finding it, he was proud of himself. It had been a masterstroke on his side. The whole idea of Casper's graveyard had been his. His grandpa just couldn't stop talking about it, going on and on about it every chance he got. He had intended to use going there to his advantage, effectively placing himself atop of the food chain. But then, he had seen Stan picking on Damien, and had to step in. He packed his overnight bag. He had a sleepover at Damien's, and both boys were going to make the most out of it. Nana went bonkers. She was excited to see Devon, wagging her tail back and forth. "Hi Mrs. Gray," he greeted Damien's mom, dumping his bag on the floor before dashing to Damien's room. Damien had his headphones on and was currently in a debate as to who the imposter was. Devon watched him for a while before taking the seat beside him. Damien chuckled when he noticed him. "Got the sounds we need?" he asked. "Bet," Devon replied, pulling the soundboard out. The boys went over the different sounds available. Stan rolled and tossed on his bed. He could not sleep. Heading to his computer, he looked up Casper's graveyard. He needed to know the environment if he needed to scare the boys away. To his surprise, he read a headline: "Spending the night at Casper's graveyard, myth or fact?" Young boys in general have taken to sneaking out at night to spend the night at Casper's graveyard, proving their manhood to their friends, while in reality they are too scared to enter. The usual trick is using eerie recordings, which has led to the misinformation that sirens or banshees reside at the graveyard. This was just the huge break he needed. Revitalized, he headed over to Damien's house. "This one," Devon said, This sounds unique but expected at the same time. He was interrupted by a sound of knocking against the window. Both boys headed towards the window, their curiosity piqued. "Hey, about time." Stan was standing beneath. "No." Damien panicked. What was he doing here? This was not part of the plan. The plan revolved around stealth. "We are waiting for his mom to go to sleep," Davon replied, hopeful that Stan would get the message and beat it. "Oh well. In I come," Stan replied, starting to climb in. "We can't get out of this now, can we?" Damien whispered to Davon as both boys watched Stan climb in. "I don't think so, guess we would have to go now," Davon whispered back. The boys sat across each other. Stan looking all smug. "You know, I read online that people don't really go to Casper's graveyard, they just record scary sounds to play for their friends, claiming they actually went." The color drained from Davon's face. His master plan had just been thrown out the window. "Well, you can't believe everything you see online," he said in a tone he hoped came across as confident. "Kids, I am going to bed now, don't stay up too late." Damien heard his mom call out. Wrong timing, he thought to himself as he glanced hopelessly at Davon. "Well then, I guess it's time to get going," Davon said, standing up. Stan was shocked. Davon was not swayed, and was actually thinking of going through with the bet. He started second-guessing himself. What if the article was written by some troll who wanted to lure kids there for a good scare, or worse, a psychopath who had his men hiding in there? All three boys stood at the gate of the graveyard. Davon sucked in his breath. It was game time. Stan stood watching the boys heading towards the gate. "No, hold up, no need," he called out, clearly more concerned about the boys' lives than they seemed to be. "Okay, I take it back, you are no scaredy cat after all," he apologized to Damien.